That's gotta go. I don't know if you can tell that stretch.
They're 215s on 9-inch rims.
215s on 9-inch
so
rims.
About a 2-inch stretch, for give or take.
Wild. This is the only bit of damage to the actual car. Everything else is just like little bits of paint. Yeah, we can get to work on it very soon then. That was very aggressive. See, this is what a Supra looks like when it's not like
huge
cut. Do you run a square setup on this?
Probably not. Even a practical setup would be maybe 225s. Oh, these are 205s. Okay, so we could go 225s in the front and 255s in the rear would be okay for now. Once we put more power, at least we can go wider in the rear, but that's not till next spring probably.
Yeah, and I know a lot of people like to go with the JZ platforms for this particular chassis, but
Underdog 7MGTE.
Yeah, that's kind of how I feel about it too. After building the 7MGE that I have, I actually really like the motor. I kind of want to see what we can push this thing to before we make any crazy rash decisions.
Kyle, catch.
Ah!
Why does this thing have two of these?
We just need to take one off.
Pitch your throttle.
Wait, what if we used both of them?
Double the throttle response. We came here to tow a car and immediately started working on a car. Gentlemen?
You just yank this thing off like
no. Oh. Make the tow truck driver a little happier.
Pretty good for new sound. Bose and most shit now.
Boy.
Well, drive shafts out, so we can finally get this thing towed without this flopping all over the place. Now, in case she completely ignored me about the whole flatbed thing, we won't be totally boned. So, other little goodies, we got this enormous intercooler going in. This is a differential from a Mark IV. Spacing what the gearing is off the top of my head.
373.
373. Some
Down
piping, a down pipe.
That's a bell housing for an R154. You know, R154 install coming next spring. Subscribe.
Now we just need to get the the rest of the R154. Nice little new radiator for it, semi-new.
Like, she's like, what does that mean? I'm like, I think the Eclipse is dead.
Gentlemen, we have some time to kill.
How far are they?
Well, supposedly they're dispatched, but that doesn't mean they're en route. So it says the estimated time that he's going to be here is 2:24, so that's in an hour.
With traffic, maybe.
Damn. Well, I suppose that's pretty accurate. That's what she told me on the phone.
You guys want to go get food?
Yes.
I'm hungry.
Yes.
Once I have actual cash on me, then
They went to go get some food, so we're going to take a little bit closer look at this car. I haven't gotten to do too much to the internals or anything like that on this, as I wasn't really around for any of that. When I came into this project, he just had the motor. It was literally just a motor and a shell. Didn't have anything else for it. So I helped him get all the accessory stuff put on, like the old turbo we mounted on. We did the ignition stuff. I helped him put the manifolds on. But as far as the internals, I have no idea what's going on under there. From what I've been told, it's all forged internals. There's some paperwork behind it, so we'll see when it gets running. So this car was a 7MGE with a W58 5-speed. And now, as you can see, it's a 7MG TE. So we had to swap the harness over, and we had to swap the ECU over. These were the rotors that I was talking about earlier. This stretch is god-awful. I'm glad he's not here because I'm talking about his car. But, gross. On a Supra, terrible. Not aesthetically pleasing at all. So, new rubber. I don't know what it has for suspension, to be honest. I will go back through and take a look at it. From what I remember, it wasn't stock. Right now, with just the motor and transom, we've got a lot of options. So, I'm going to kick back, hang out for a little bit, wait for this tow truck, and then we'll be back. Supra's getting loaded up. Scrape like hell going up. Oh my. That's fun. Finally family, here we go. Bringing her back to the garage. I'm at a loss for words. Mr. Beans, how do you feel about the new Supra? Well, here she is. It's finally time to get working on this bad boy. I'm going through the first couple steps right now. Pretty much just have a list of everything that I want to do as far as what I got to do to the drivetrain, what I got to do to the engine and interior, along with running like the stuff for the turbo. This turbo is getting swapped out for this one, for this guy here. Then we got to figure out also how to mount this massive intercooler. We got this little support in the front in the way, so that will probably end up getting deleted. Nice enough, it unbolts like on the top and on the bottom, so it'll just fall right out. I got to relocate this coolant reservoir, and then of course there's a lot of wiring that needs to be done as well. But when we got the motor, we got it pretty much with a full harness. So the harness is just going to lay down, and I have that thing, and the harness is essentially the same thing minus a couple different plugs, because we got to run a boost controller. It's a different MAF, different ton of other stuff like that, but essentially it's the same harness. This one does have power steering, so I probably will be hooking power steering up to this one because it's nice to have. But that's kind of going to be saved towards the end. Talking about the interior a little bit, some of the things that we got to do is get the ECU mounted, get the glove box put back in. I don't think this is the ECU that we're using. I want to say this is the ECU from when this was a non-turbo car, or maybe this is the ECU. I'm not sure. I'll have to get in contact with him about that. I got to put a radio back in it because he wants to be able to listen to music while he drives. I got to get the shifter put back on the transmission. Annoyingly enough, when we were doing this motor, we were at his garage. You can see a little bit of it on my Instagram if you go at Shelm Kyle on Instagram, or it should be some on None of She Works, where when we put the motor in, we didn't really have too much space to work. So we had to take the shifter off. We had to take that off just so it would go in, and we had a really subpar engine lift too, so it was kind of difficult to do, but it'll be easy enough. We'll just drop the transmission back down a little bit, slip it in there, bolt it on, torque it down. Should be all right. Then if we come under here, there's this panel that goes underneath the steering wheel that has the lock for the hood and everything on it, so that will have to be put back up. Other than that, the interior is pretty much ready to go. It's very nice in here. I got the radiator in the back seat. I don't know if the Target top still works. They look cool, but if you have a functioning one, that's pretty cool. This one probably works just fine. It's just, 30-year-old rubber around the outside, and I really don't want to go through and replace it. That's something he can do on his time. We're just gonna get this thing running for him. So one of the first things that we're gonna attack on this car is we're actually gonna start at the rear end of the car, and we're gonna work our way forward. So the differential that's in the car right now is stock to the NA manual. I know it's not ideal. This is the differential that we're putting in, that he picked up for a super good price. So we're gonna swap that one into this. We can get a little bit more power put to these back wheels, these rotas. You gonna help us with the build, boy? Girl? Damn. No. Special guest, Kucha. I have to get another jack. So This is the bad boy we're replacing right here. The 2 bolts here for the mounts. This one's already loose. Then there's 4 on the back on the case. So there's 2 up here, 2 right here. And then I gotta, of course, get the axles out, so we'll just turn the wheels over to do that. And it should drop out. And that one should go in. All right, so now we gotta pop each one of these little nuts off to get the CV shaft out so this can drop down. Lucky enough, my buddy had already taken the 2 bolts off the top of the differential, so it saved me a little bit of time there. And I'm gonna see if I can get these little crow's feet to work to kind of help me with this. A little bit more leverage on these guys. There they went. Let's see if I can get lucky and get this one. Oh, there it went. Alright, now I gotta go hit the e-brake. Now I'm basically gonna do that all the way around. I'm just gonna turn the tires around to break these loose. Then, once you have all the bolts around the axle broken, you can go back with a wrench and then your finger and twist them out. So, now that we got all of our bolts off, we'll work our way to the other side, get all these ones off, and then just knock it with a hammer a couple times gently around the edges, and she should pop right off, and then we can drop the differential down. So I gotta get these axles off now. I already got them loose, so get rid of these braces on each end. I can kind of drop the differential down a little bit to get them to just kind of slide off. And then tomorrow, I'm gonna try to go get the drive shaft for this so I can get it all hooked up to the transmission and have the back end secured and ready to go. All right, so next up, we're gonna drop these little arms down. They're gonna be in the way of getting this differential out. So. And they come right out. So now we drop this differential down. There's nothing in the way of these axles and she can come right down.